everyone, welcome back to another episode of Getting Speakers Booked, a podcast by speakers for speakers. My name is Macy Baxi, and I'm so excited to have my guest on with us today. But as always, if you are a speaker and you are looking to be connected with some really great speakers, in the description you can join our Global Speakers Circle Facebook group. It's free to join. You can network. We have networking and training all the time, every day, every week. So I'm super excited to bring on our guest today, Aaron. Aaron, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Macy, thanks for having me on. This is going to be great. And in just a couple weeks, you and I are actually going to get to see each other. So that's going to be even more exciting.
It's not even a few weeks.
Oh yeah, it's in a few days, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So maybe at the end we can talk a little bit about that if we have some time.
I would love to. It'd be so much fun. But I want to talk a little bit about Aaron. Aaron is just an amazing entrepreneur who has helped so many different types of people there up in Washington. He's helped entrepreneurs on national television. He's helped them in his local community, and he's just helping people all over the world. So Aaron, why don't you just talk a little bit about you and how you got started in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a small little mountain town in Northern California. You know, the kind that you see on TV with the old dirt roads that are all rutted out. And I grew up there just scraping by, super poor, joined the military, did really well in the military. And when I got out, I started struggling with mental health and I didn't understand it at all. I was having anxiety and depression, and nobody even really understood those terms, didn't know how to talk to me about it. I didn't know what to do. So I began to just study the brain, study neuroscience to understand what was happening inside my brain. Why am I dealing with depression and suicidal ideations? And along the way, I got invited to go to church and I started reading the Bible. And that's when everything started to make sense, because I'm looking at this ancient scripture and what they're telling me, and then I'm reading in modern neuroscience what happens in the brain, and it's the exact same thing. They're telling me the same thing. And so I created a way for myself to overcome anxiety and depression. Now, it's not a cure, right? But it's a way, it's tools and training you can use so when those things happen, you know what to do. And by doing that, I was able to build an incredible business where I've got over 150 employees. We're a multi-million-dollar company. We're in the top 2% of small businesses in the world. I've started 4 other companies, and then I became a coach and judge on The Blocks, which is a reality competition show for entrepreneurs. And so I coach a couple hundred businesses every single year, teaching them how to grow and scale their business. But I always start with building their own mental resilience first, because you as the entrepreneur will always be the bottleneck for your business.
That's such a great point, and there's so many amazing things that you talked about, but obviously mental health is really where you circle around. And I loved how you connected mental health and mental resilience when it comes to being an entrepreneur. I can't tell you the amount of people I've talked to and they're like, hey, being an entrepreneur is lonely. You feel like you're always on your own. And that's kind of why so many people love group programs, or they love communities, they love networking, because they're like, hey, they just want to see someone who was where they were succeed. Because if they can see other people do it, they can do it. And that's, I think, something that a lot of people see in you as well, Aaron, and that's why you do things like The Blocks, which is just an incredible show. I haven't watched too much of it, but just seeing all the things and all the people that you're helping with, it's so great. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about, as a speaker, what is really the topic? It sounds like we know, but I'd love for you to talk a little bit more officially on, like, what do you really talk about? And from the stage, how do you help people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I teach people how to become mentally resilient and high performing, or how to build mentally resilient, high performing teams, because that's the next step. Here's what I see a lot of entrepreneurs wanting from me is they want me to come in and fix something in their business. Like, hey, can you just get my sales team going, or help me with organizational leadership, or help me with this or that? And it's like, you don't have enough money and I don't have enough time to be able to fix these problems in your company. But what I can do is I can do 3 things. I can educate you on what the problem is, empower you with some tools and training, and encourage you along the way. And so that's what I love to do, is work with leaders that want to get in there, and they're the ones who really want to make the difference and make a change in their company. And when I started doing this in my own business, I dropped my turnover rate by 75%.
Wow.
And by doing this, it really helped me control my costs and improve the productivity and reliability of my service. I own a professional janitorial company. And so most contractors, they will have a contract for maybe 12 to 24 months. They'll do really good. Things will start to fall off and then they'll get fired. And so they're constantly looking for new contracts. I don't have that problem. Most of my contracts I've had for over a decade
Wow.
because I don't have turnover in my company. So the product stays reliable, which is cleaning, and people don't replace us because it's a hassle. And so that's been really the key to my growth, is to educate, empower, and encourage my team on their mental health journey. So that's what I teach from the stage. I fill those 3 buckets where I want to educate people about the brain-body connection. And then I want to empower them with some tools and trainings that they can use right now, today. And then I encourage them to take next steps in their growth. I have a free group that people can join. We talk about these different mental health concepts every single week. And I try to help people understand the way their brain operates. And if they can understand it, they can make better decisions for the long term.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. And one thing that I want to definitely point out is that your 3 E's, right, are so simple for the day to day person to understand. I think what's so special about the right frameworks is that when you hear them, your brain immediately goes, oh, that makes sense. All right, we want, as entrepreneurs, we are already doing so much. Our brains are constantly working. We don't want to learn new words that maybe don't fit in our everyday lives. But education, empower, and encourage, I mean, I already know them and you said them once or twice. So it's so simple to apply, and that's what really makes a great outstanding talk. So I'm super excited to learn a little bit more and meet you in person very soon. It's basically next week, I'm pretty sure, which is
Yeah.
incredible. But I would love for you to kind of talk a little bit about, like, who do you help, right? Which stages have you done the most on, and what stages do you really love?
I love in-person stages. There's nothing wrong with a virtual stage, but I want to connect with the audience. I want to see their face. I want to know if I'm making impact, because a good speaker has to be able to pivot and transition with the audience. You have to see if what you're saying is resonating or not. And if it's not, you need to change the tempo. You need to change the temperature in the room. And you can do that. And so I am part of Toastmasters. And so I teach this to my Toastmasters group because I've become very successful in the last 2 years as a public speaker. I had no idea. I had no idea. I've only been doing public speaking for the last 2 years.
Wow.
And the average amount of money that a public speaker is going to make is about $100,000. That's what the average makes. And these are non-celebrity, right? Non-celebrity public speakers, which is what we are. We're non-celebrities. We're going to make on average 100,000, just over 6 figures. And the top performers are going to make about 260,000. That's at the top of the top. That's what you're looking for as a public speaker. Now, in 2 years, I've hit 230,000
Wow.
in 2 years. And it's because I make the framework very simple, like you just mentioned, Macy, where I take these big concepts and I break them down into small little bite-sized pieces that people can absorb. And the people that I help the most are the ones that are in that audience that I can see are leaning in. And when it's a virtual stage, it's really hard to see that. People have their cameras off, they're doing other things, they're not really dialed in. So I'll do them, but they're not my favorite. I definitely love being on stages like at the Goal Achiever Summit, where I'm going to be in front of an audience and I can read their energy. And every good speaker needs to have 1 or 2 what I call pivot stories in their back pocket that they don't always pull out. But if they need to shift the audience, if they need to move them emotionally, or if they need to move them into a different mindset, a couple stories that you can bring out that will help resonate with that audience and recenter them back to the core that you're trying to bring them to. Every audience is different. So there are days that I have to use these and days that I don't. And it's one of the 5 things that I've learned as a public speaker that you have to have this pivot story that you can use if necessary.
Pivot stories are really important because you need that audience to really resonate and see themselves in you. And that's what a great speaker does, right? It's not talking at them, right? It's talking with them, very common phrase. And that's so cool. I didn't even know those statistics when it comes to public speaking, because I think a lot of people, they see entrepreneurship as kind of this lonely road. They only see it as maybe like, if you're really good, you might be like millions and millions and millions, but they don't understand. It's hard for us to see like what those milestones even along the way look like. Can we get to that 100,000? Well, 100,000 seems maybe more doable than 7 million, which people are trying to promise you when it comes to being an entrepreneur, right? And there's just
Yeah,
so
no,
many things.
you just brought up a huge point. And so this is a big problem I see in this space, in the
Mm-hmm.
speaker coaching lane. Two things. Number one, people promising these outlandish things. I'm not going to mention any names, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. When somebody comes on, an ad pops up on your Facebook and says, "I'm going to show you my $100 million scaling roadmap for $97. Just join my group. $100 million scaling roadmap." He's selling results that he hasn't even achieved himself.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two things. Number one, over promising things that just simply aren't true, and then promising results that you haven't gotten yourself. So if you're a speaker or a coach and you're just starting out, stay away from those two things. Stay away from people and yourself from over promising things, and don't try to sell results that you haven't gotten yourself. Those two things are rampant in this coaching area, where people will buy into this coaching course and to become a coach and try to teach people how to run a business, but they've never run a business themselves. The first business they're running is this coaching business that's not even off the ground. And so
Mm-hmm.
that right there, just teach what you know. What you know is valuable. Don't try to oversell it, and don't try to sell results you don't have.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can build a great coaching business or speaking business talking from authenticity, because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, it's not sustainable. People are going to find out very quickly, and you're going to lose credibility in the space. So to
Exactly.
avoid that, be authentic, give people value, and and your network, your coaching, your influence, your infrastructure will grow organically. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. Something I definitely want to say as well is, it's easy when you're a new entrepreneur that people see these other coaches, these other promises, and then they come to you and they go, "Do you come with the same promise? Do you come with the same guarantee?" And it makes it hard for you in that moment to be like, "No," and you look like you're not as good. And I know that's what it feels, but I can't sleep at the end of the day being like, well, I lied, right? I guaranteed something that I literally physically cannot guarantee, right? So many people, because I deal with speakers all the time, and they're like, hey, can you guarantee me this stage? I'm like, obviously not. I'm not in front of this. I can't guarantee you this. And they might be like, well, I don't know if you're the person. And I'm like, I'd rather you say that. I'd rather you do that. I would hate for you to go to someone who says they have a guarantee and they don't have a guarantee. But I personally am not going to guarantee it. And it's hard, and you might lose a sale, and it might suck when you have only like two prospects and you lose two of them because of that. And you might go, I just want one. I get it. But we can't lie, right? Or we should not lie, right?
Right.
Because you and I are both following the Bible. Lying is like, it's up there. They're like, you shouldn't do that. It's one of those things that are up there. I'm just gonna say. So it's you and me, right? We're looking at that. We're like, it's one of the first ones they tell us. So there's so many great things that we can talk about, and I think Aaron, you and I are just connecting on so many different levels. I do want to spend just a few minutes talking about the Goal Achievers coming up, what it means. So tell me a little bit about what are you going to talk about at the Goal Achievers stage, and what can people be excited for?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about how to rewire your brain. So our brain is full of these neural connections, and how you can rewire it. Now, people call it, it's like, oh, it's mindset, it's this, it's that. It's all of those things. But how I'm different is I don't just tell you how it works. I tell you why it works. I bring the
Mm-hmm.
neuroscience piece in. I bring faith and neuroscience. Plus, I give you tools that you can use right there today that will help you overcome whatever that is that's been holding you back. And for the most people, it's themselves. It's fear of failure, or it's some past trauma they've experienced that's holding them back from stepping into that freedom. And it's scary, and I get it. So when I grew up in that mountain town in Northern California, we lived on this dirt road, and you would drive on it day in and day out. The rain, the mud, the snow, and that road would get worn down, and you'd start getting ruts. And those ruts, no matter how hard you tried to drive to get out of them, eventually they would suck you right back in. And you would have to go exactly where that rut was going. If you wanted to take a turn and get off, it didn't work. And sometimes the ruts would get so deep that we'd get stuck and somebody else would have to pull us out. Those same ruts happen in our brain. They're neuroconnections. They're called maladaptive coping mechanisms. They're things that we do when we feel stressed that are not healthy for us, but we do them anyway and we can't stop. And then it becomes addiction. And people try to get out of that, but what it is, it's a rut in your brain. It's a neuroconnection that you've done multiple times, and so it's become really deep. And it's really hard to get yourself out of that. Almost impossible. So what you have to do is you have to pave a new road. And that's what we would do on that dirt road. Every several months, we'd have a grader come through and grade the road, put a new dome over the top so the water would flow off the edges, and redo that road, creating a new pathway so we could get to where we actually wanted to go. And I teach people how to do that same thing in their brain. It's not about getting out of that rut, it's about building a new pathway, because your brain needs that neural connection. It needs that rut. It needs repetition to be able to feel safe. And if it doesn't have that safety, that becomes the number one priority, and it stops you from doing anything else. So there's safety in being disciplined and having a routine, and I teach people not how to overcome their trauma, but how to rewire the way they think about it so they can live a more productive life. And a lot of times, that pain that you came from, when you share that with other people, it becomes the light that leads them out of the darkness.
Wow. That's amazing. That's so powerful. And I love you going back to the why as well. I think for me, I'm such an action-oriented person that if you tell me it works, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But knowing why, it's almost helpful for you to see maybe if something's not working, you can go back to that root of like, okay, what is the purpose of this? What am I doing wrong? Okay, I'm not actually aligning. This is why it should work. There's something wrong there, right? That's how you can go back, and like that's how I'm like constantly studying for tests, is like I'm always asking my like, why is this even like needing, like why do I even need to do that? And when I learned that, I'm like, oh shoot, like okay, this is easier for me to take this test because, and I've taken a lot of tests, so it was so helpful for me. So I'm so glad to hear that, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna obviously be in the room at the Goal Achievers. So to all of my audience, to those who are listening, we'd love to join you in person in Orlando, Florida, December 29th and 30th. It's 30th, 29th and 30th, right? I got that right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, at the Goal Achievers Summit. It's not too late. We still have a few more tickets, so click the link in the description, sign up. You want to be there in the room. Like Erin said, being in the room is so much different than just watching something, being on a Zoom room. All great, learn so much. Being in the room, being able to network. I mean, I'm going to be the event the whole time. I'm going to be able to talk to all of the attendees. I'm sure you're going to be very similar and be able to talk to people. People can ask you questions. So it's not like we're in and out and we'll fly. Well, I'm not in and out, and I'm really excited to see you in person, Erin, and all the amazing things that you do. So thank you again for coming on, sharing so much wisdom. This was a blast. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, Macy. I love it. If you ever need me to come back and do another segment, if the people like it, I'd be happy to do that.
I'm sure they will. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And to everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well. If you'd like to learn more about Aaron or anything that he's doing, I'll have all of his information in the description. And as always, again, if you're a speaker, you're looking to get in front of other speakers, connect with them, network, and learn how to just improve on your craft, but also get booked, you can join our free Facebook group. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.